Okay, so welcome to the second lab session for week 2. We're mostly going to be concentrating on the 2.5 assignment, which is due Sunday night, I believe. Can someone confirm that? Because I can never remember what. I think only a couple of the first week's assignments were shifted to a Monday. I think we get back on schedule from here on out in terms of assignments being due on Sunday night and so on. But mostly we'll cover the 2.5 assignment, kind of walk you through what you need to do. Because, as I think I said last time, it's kind of like the DGO assignment where it's not really terribly... Thanks, Jason. Yeah, Sunday. Okay. So this is due for Sunday. It's not a terribly difficult assignment, but it's got lots of moving parts. And again, the assignment sheet is pretty specific about what you need to do, but it can feel a little bit confusing when you actually look at it and figure out what you need to do. So I'm going to talk about the assignment fairly in depth. Here's a quick overview. I do want to get an update on how the team debates are going, and then we'll get into that 2.5 assignment, and then we'll leave some time left over for any questions that people have. So first of all, how are the team debates going? Mostly for Team A and Team B. Do we have any Team A and Team B members present? Are things going well? Are people communicating with one another? Usually this assignment goes swimmingly well. Last month was the first month, however, where it didn't. I shouldn't say that. It went mostly well, but there were a couple teams that, yeah, as Jason said, that you don't hear from certain people, which isn't a big problem. Unfortunately, that happens. I don't like that it happens. But, it's difficult if you're reaching out to your fellow team members as strongly as you can. And again, like I said in Tuesday's session, you should be trying to reach out to people. I know that a big part of the responsibility is also on them, but don't leave it with just a single message. I'll try to remember to send out an announcement as well, reminding people. When I sent out the recording for Tuesday's session, I even said in the announcement that we did cover the team debate, so if you're not sure what this is, you probably want to check out the video. So I'm trying to remind people to get on board. But, some people may, some people might not. Some people might, again, appear toward the end. And then it's up to the teams to decide whether they've really been contributing members or not. I'm not trying to create divisions. I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm not trying to do anything like that. But mostly, if most of the teams have at least 3, it would be better if 4. If you have 3 or 4 people who are engaging, that's typically enough to get the assignment completed. Do people feel like, and this is mostly for Team A and Team B, because Team C gets to hang out a bit, so maybe they haven't all responded to each other yet. But for Team A's, what did we say last time? Team Alpha and Team, what is B? Is it Beta? No, not Beta. Bravo, thank you. Team Bravo. Do you have 3 or 4 members in each team that's kind of with it and getting on board? Okay, Jason says yes, that's a good sign. There was someone else. Someone was from Team A and Team B. So let me scroll up. Jason's in Team B. Jordan, are things going okay for Team B? Do you have at least 3 or 4 people who are contributing? While I wait to hear a response, let me just say that keep me updated, okay? All the teams, let me know what's going on. If you feel like something's not working well, or if there's some sort of frustration or miscommunication going on, tell me about it, because then I can try to light the fire under certain people or take over. But this is a little bit awkward because it's the kind of assignment where I mostly get to take a step back and let the teams do their thing. It doesn't mean that I'm absent or that I'm not involved or I'm not aware, but it means that I need to hear back from teams to figure out how things are going. So feel free to send me a message. That's probably the easiest way to contact me, because sometimes I'm poking my head in the individual discussion boards, but sometimes I'm not. But yeah, give me an update if there are any issues going on. And also let me know if how the progress is coming along. Okay, I mean I can extend things a tiny bit. For example, if Team A or Team B feels like they just need a little bit more time to get things wrapped up, like I can give you a little bit more time if you need it. But you have to let me know that that's the situation, and then we can extend things through Saturday, and I can move Team C's date from Monday to Tuesday if need be too, so they have more time to look at Team A and Team B's work. Okay, so just an announcement to keep me updated, keep in touch, let me know how things are going. Okay, so it sounds like the teams are doing okay, I hope. So let's talk about what we're doing for this Sunday, because this is the second major assignment. I'm mostly finished. I think I have like a handful of DGO assignments still to grade, but mostly they're the leftovers. Some people handed it in late. There was an extension given to people who didn't hand it in on time, and there's a point deduction for that, but typically they get pushed to the bottom of the pile because I want to get to the people who handed in their work on time first. There's some other tiny issues. Some people handed things in an awkward file format that I wasn't able to open, so I need to hear back from them as well. But for the most part, I think a lot of you already received my feedback. Okay, thanks, Jordan. He says, Team A is doing okay. I'm not getting a hold of certain people. But okay means that you have at least 3 people, because that's my plan. I try to arrange the groups as best as possible so that I'm pretty confident that we at least have 3 people per team who I feel very confident are going to stay on top of things and get involved. It's a little bit awkward to explain how I do that guesswork. It usually has to do with looking at the people who are completing their work on time, participating in the discussion boards, etc. Usually that's a pretty strong indication that they'll be on top of the other assignments as well. But usually, yeah, a minimum of 3 people is kind of what you need to at least get something done for that assignment. Okay, so I just said that I'm pretty much wrapped up with the DGO assignments, so there's a good chance, just looking at the people in this room, I could be wrong, but I think everybody in the room today has heard back from me. One of the Jordans, I think I think one of the Jordans who got me a correct file format, I think I did respond. So everybody here got feedback already. So that's good, which means we can move on to the next assignment and hit the ground running. Okay, the 2.5 assignment, which is called Researching Credible Connections. For this assignment, you'll choose a company to research, okay? You should choose a company that's probably related to your industry. So if your area is music, you'll choose, I don't know, it could be something as big as Sony or as big as, oh God, what's the name of Jay-Z's company? Is it Rock Nation? You could pick up, or Def Jam. You could pick something big like that, or you could pick something much, much smaller. I can't think of something off the top of my hand, but maybe there's a specific indie label that you admire, or maybe I'm open. If there's a producer of a certain piece of equipment that you really like and you want to look into, right? You want to look into Roland, who makes keyboards, or you want to look into Fender, who makes guitars, or you want to look into the person who makes your favorite digital audio workstation. That's all cool. Video games, most people choose companies. I'm going to use a specific video game company in my example for this meeting. But it's pretty much wide open. You don't have to limit yourself to like the artistic end of things. You can look at manufacturers of certain products. You could look at consulting groups. You can look at just about whatever. But try to choose something that you're interested in, because that'll make the assignment more interesting for you, because you'll actually be doing research into something that you already think is cool. Like if you're in sports marketing and what is it? Sports marketing and something or other. I forget what the name of the areas here is in Folsom. Sports marketing and something or other. Anyway, I've had people look into ESPN, right? Choose something that you admire, that you'd like to learn more about. But you'll choose a company, and then you're going to use a combination of information that you can find in the Full Sail Library research databases and search engines to do a little bit of digging up of information, and you'll eventually put this into a presentation. Someone asked, is Keynote like PowerPoint? Yeah, it's pretty similar. It's just Mac's version of Keynote. I don't know. Do they even make Keynote for PC? I always think of it as PowerPoint being PC, Keynote being Mac, although PowerPoint is available on Mac as well. So, but yeah, they're pretty similar. I think Keynote's a little bit more, if you get under the hood of it, it can actually do some pretty amazing things. It's a little bit slicker than PowerPoint, which is kind of old school. But don't rule out other things like Prezi, which is an online tool. It's what's called 2.5D, which is just a funny way of saying it's not really 3D, but it sort of imitates 3D aspects, or Have people heard of Prezi? It's a pretty famous piece of online software that's free to use. So this is also a good chance to try out tools that you've never learned before. Yes, this session, someone just asked me privately, yeah, these sessions are recorded, so if you missed anything, you can always watch what you missed later. But if you haven't tried out Prezi, try it out. I always have a handful of students who try out Prezi. It's not difficult to use, so if you're comfortable using other tools like Digo or the numerous apps that are out there, I mean, it's pretty intuitive. But what's really cool about Prezi is that it's difficult to describe in words, but it sort of swoops and goes in and out, and visuals kind of can come to the forefront and then recede to the back. So that's why it's called 2.5D, because it's more sort of interactive and snazzy on its surface than maybe a typical presentation like PowerPoint or Keynote. Blogging tools, which few people use, but they actually work really well for this assignment, so things like WordPress or Weebly. Or you can use any other presentation tool you feel is appropriate. I've had people put together kind of like slides, but then ultimately they put it into something like iMovie or some other type of slideshow or movie or video app, so that you can just click the play button and it sort of goes through the presentation for you with music playing in the background. So you can use just about any presentation tool you wish. Now let's kind of take a step back and look at what the assignment sheet is actually asking for. So here's the assignment sheet, and it's broken down into 4 different parts, and the 4 parts kind of make sense on their own, but it can be a little bit confusing, because much like the Digo assignment, it starts throwing lots of things at you. Choose a company, use the Get Company Info on LexisNexis to find out information, take a screen capture, save this screenshot in your Digo account, right? I mean, it hits you with a lot of stuff, and it continues into part 2 here. Then go to library databases, use LexisNexis again, to find 2 articles on your company, answer the questions in the evaluation guide, then write a couple of paragraphs. I mean, it seems like it's just throwing stuff at you. So I'm going to try to slow it down and take each of these parts one at a time. So let's just focus on part 1, which is to choose a company, go to LexisNexis, find the basic company info, and take a screenshot of it. Okay? Do all of you know how to get to the Full Sail library databases? The global session this week should have covered this. Do you all know how to get there? Yes? No? Maybe so? Let me take a sip from my coffee. Jason says yes. Kinda. Okay. I mean, by the way, maybe people can help me out. It used to be that on your FSO platform, you could just click on the Full Sail University thing and it would take you to Connect, but now it doesn't do that. It just reloads the screen. I always just type Full Sail Connect into Google, and you get this Full Sail University login. It has this like runway.fullsail.edu address. There are probably other ways to get here, but this is the way I always get there. So, here you can see I've put Full Sail Connect into Google. If anybody has a better way to get there, feel free to share it in the chat. Someone has their hand raised. Mangus, I'm going to take you... Oops. Off. I'm trying to take you off mute. Oh, that was an accident. Okay, let me put your hand down. Oh, I got so excited. Nobody raises their hand to speak out loud and ask a question, so got a little bit revved up there. Don't do that to me. I got to be a stronger teacher and like make people raise their hands and ask questions, because people get shy. And it's a lot faster and easier sometimes just to speak out loud than to type things in the chat. Okay, so you go through the login stuff, right? Now it's telling me failed, so I just click on it again. It tells me failed. Click on it again. Eventually I get in. Right? Sign in again. Especially if you're off campus, you have to go through a bunch of steps. Don't know why I need 5 logins to get into Connect, but okay. So now we're in. I usually just go to, you have a quick link here, library. That's probably the easiest way. If not, you can just click on Browse Organizations and filter it. Click the L button so you reduce things to library. But if you can remember, there's just a library link on the left side of your page. And if we scroll down, we can see, here we go, research databases. Some of you might say databases, but I grew up in Chicago and that's how we pronounce it there. Okay, so now we'll go and find LexisNexis. It's alphabetical, so there we go, LexisNexis. So the first thing we're going to do is just find basic company info. Okay, so I'm going to pretend that I'm a gaming student at Full Sail because it's not interesting if I pick something related to teaching. I would have no idea what company to choose for teaching. McGraw-Hill, maybe a textbook company, but that's boring. So I'll pretend I'm a gaming student at Full Sail. And I'm going to use the company Naughty Dog. Have you heard of Naughty Dog? Does everybody know who that is? Like, it's a pretty huge game developer. Jordan, you don't know? Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to speak to someone and get your Full Sail privileges revoked. Everybody knows Naughty Dog. Yeah, they made some old school games. Jak and Daxter for the PS2. That's a pretty huge one that people know. Recently, though, they've really struck it big with the Uncharted series for PlayStation 3 and The Last of Us, which was a really awesome game that came out a little over a year ago. So they're about the biggest game company in the world right now, you could argue. So I'll use Naughty Dog because I love their games. Too much information, but I've played those Uncharted games like repeatedly. I'm like one of those mental patients who just, instead of staring at the walls, I just play the same game over and over again because I love it so much. Yeah, Rockstar would be a good one. I'm not going to put that one in because maybe, Tony, that's what you're going to use. I don't know if your area is gaming. I can't remember. Yeah, you could look up Nintendo. Again, anything. Huge company, small company. You could look up the manufacturer of, I don't know, graphics cards. You could look up, anything that's kind of tangentially related to gaming would be fine. Yeah, Final Fantasy X. I love that game. We're getting off topic, but yeah, Final Fantasy X with Titus and Yuna and Riku. It's a great game. This is the only place in the world, by the way, Full Sail, where you can be an instructor, and these things aren't embarrassing to admit. It actually increases your level of credibility because you were able to tap into student interests, whereas at a typical university, maybe you wouldn't so much. So, okay, under get company info, in the kind of bottom right corner of the screen, I'm going to just type in Naughty Dog. Hit return. And you can see it gives me 3 entries, but none of these are right. This is Naughty Dog in Bloomington, Indiana. I could click on it, but I already know this isn't right. The Naughty Dog Cafe. But if I click up here to view all companies, it should give me a larger list. I've been using this example month after month, so I just know which one it is. But originally I had to Google to find out Naughty Dog's address because some of these obviously aren't correct. Naughty Dog Club, Naughty Dog Lawn and Snow. Some you just know aren't right, but others you're not sure. And it's the one that's in Santa Monica. Where is it? Okay, here it is. So some of you might have to take an extra step if you can't quite figure it out and sleuth out which one's the correct one. So what we need to do is take a screenshot. Does everybody know how to take a screenshot using either Mac or PC? It's been ages since I've used a PC. I've heard that it's a combination of the Windows logo. You have a key that has a Windows logo on it, plus print screen. I've heard from other people that it's just print screen. You just hit print screen and it takes a snapshot. Jordan asks, I'm writing for entertainment. Is it okay to research Nintendo or Sony? When you say writing for entertainment, is that like creative writing? And do you see yourself writing? Do you see yourself heading into gaming? I mean, it might be interesting. I mean, listen. Ultimately, I'm more interested in just you being able to complete this assignment rather than caring that much about the. I just don't want you researching. I don't know, McDonald's if you're not if there's no connection. So yeah, Nintendo's fine. But if you want to pick a game publisher that produces the types of things you could see yourself writing one day, that's cool too. But yeah, I'm more interested in you completing the assignment. So, okay, we probably don't have any Mac users here, right? Because you guys don't get your launch boxes unless you're a campus student. You get them right away. But if you're an online student, you won't get it until month 5. Okay, on Mac, it's a combination of. Gosh, I just do it. I never think about it. I think it's on my PowerPoint. So let me go to that. On Mac, it's Shift Command 3 to select an area. or Shift Command plus 4 to grab the entire screen. Although I might have that backwards. Let's try it out. Okay, so while we're on the company info page, we'll take a snapshot. So, okay, yeah, Control Command 3, and you can see I have a Dropbox account. So it's already telling me that my screenshot has been added there. So that's cool, because one of the things we'll need to do is it says in the instructions to add the screenshot to your DGL list. Lots of people also include in the presentation, because the presentation should have more than just words on the screen. My presentation for today is a little bit dull; it's all text. But for these presentations, you could have some images that spruce things up. So I'm just going to make something up on the slide here. Let me go find my screenshot. It should be the last one that I took. Right, so I can just drag it into my slide, and there's my there's my screenshot. So, and you can do whatever you want with it. You can do things like obviously you should resize things or not, but you can have it take up the whole screen. You can save some space left over. So when you do include text, I'll cover in just a second that there's textual elements you need to include too. But there's a way to spruce up your presentation. Things like the screenshots you take can be dragged into your presentation. So okay, so there's step number 1, right? Just going to LexisNexis, finding company info, taking a screenshot. And actually, I forgot, in the instructions it says include the screenshot in your presentation, along with a paragraph of explanation as to why you respect the company and chose it for this assignment. Okay? So, by the way, I'm being very sloppy here. I would obviously take much more time with this than I am now. But okay, there's my screenshot, and I can put things like, I chose naughty dog because it looks like I misspelled naughty, but okay, right? So you can do things like that. Again, take more time to actually make things look pretty. But that's the essence of what you're doing for part 1. Okay, so part 2 says next you'll stay in those databases. I actually recommend staying in LexisNexis. Mangus says it doesn't exactly need to. No, but it should be kind of related. Like I joked, you shouldn't pick like Burger King or what's something that's way off topic, Marlboro cigarettes or something. I mean, don't research a company that has zero connection to what you're doing. And it's not just because the assignment says so that you should choose a company that interests you, but it's also, I think, it makes the assignment more interesting if you really focus on a company that you admire. Okay, so while you're in LexisNexis, find 2 recent articles about the company. Okay, and after you find these articles, you're going to use the evaluation guide to analyze the credibility. Okay, so let's break down the first part of part 2 in real time. So, okay, I'm already in LexisNexis. The great thing is, since I've already looked into Naughty Dog, if I go to the left here, I can just click on like current news. And boom, I get a whole list of articles that have been written. Now, here's my advice. Do not just grab the first thing that appears on the list, because maybe it's not an interesting article. Maybe it's terrible. Maybe when it comes to analyzing the article, because in a second I'm going to show you how the thing you're supposed to do for the 10 C's activity, that ungraded discussion activity on the board where you're supposed to go out and find an article and analyze it. You're kind of doing the same thing here for this assignment. So why not pick an article that's sort of rich and has some meat to it that you can analyze? So, okay, The Last of Us picks up 2 new free maps. Yeah, that sounds cool, but that sounds more like a news release rather than an article that I really want to read about. Let's see if I can find something good here. Last of Us Revisited. Lots of Last of Us stuff. Wow, I'm not liking any of these. Last of Us dominates at awards. Uncharted lead forced out by Last of Us leads. Okay, that sounds interesting. Let me click on that. I might stick with it. It's a little bit short, only 367 words. There's no length requirements. You can pick something long or short. If I were doing this assignment, I would try to pick something that's the most interesting to analyze. Because obviously, if you pick something that's just like a straight news release, there's not tremendously interesting stuff there to analyze in terms of credibility. Doggone good. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, 550 words. Yeah, I mean, look around. I might go with this one. I haven't read this one, but pick something that might yield the most interesting results in terms of analysis. Okay, don't just grab the first thing. Jason, the screenshot on the Mac is Shift Command 3 if you want to grab the entire screen, or if you press Shift Command 4, it brings up a little like a mini cursor where you can drag and just choose a selection of the screen to take a screenshot. Probably just want to take the entire screen for this. Okay, so you're going to find 2 articles. And then you're going to go to the evaluation guide, this is a document that's among your materials that are downloadable for this assignment. This is basically a reduction of the 10 C's article. We've grouped it into sort of 5 broad categories: authority and credibility, currency and continuity. Yeah, you're expected to go through these questions and answer them, and present your answers in the presentation. Again, kind of like the 10 C's article, some of these questions you might not be able to answer, or they might not be relevant. That's okay. But do go through these questions and provide answers, okay, and include them in your presentation. Because this is sort of the stuff that's going to prepare you to make an overall evaluation of the article. So, basic stuff like, are there any authors? And if so, who are they? Are the authors' titles or job descriptions provided? If so, what are they? If you want to show off and do some extra work, because sometimes just a person's name appears and nothing else, you can take the extra step and Google their name real quickly. Sometimes people have LinkedIn profiles or profiles other places, or bios that you can do a little bit of extra sleuthing to figure out who this author is and whether they're trustworthy or not, because that's a big part of credibility, right? Is this written by someone who's been working and writing in the industry for 10 years, or is this some 16-year-old kid who lives in his parents' garage? And then you can go through the rest of the questions on your own, right? What's the focus of the article? Is it accurate and thorough? Does it seem biased in any way? Okay, we talked about bias last time. Bias doesn't need to be over the head, like insulting bias, but it could just mean that, okay, yeah, this is clearly pushing something, or clearly this publication or this author has something that they want to convince you of. Right? Especially like if we think of gaming, sometimes there are gaming magazines where, okay, there's an article, but you get this sneaking suspicion that they're also, I won't say shilling for the game, but maybe they're not being as honest as they could be, because, I don't know, it's in their interest to sort of do PR for the game rather than truly give an objective analysis of it. Manga says my voice is coming through weird. Is it coming through for other people like that? Or is it a problem on Mangus's end? Really? Oh, nuts. But can people hear me? Let me try to quickly unplug my headset and then plug it in again. How about now, if I just get rid of the mic entirely? Is that better, worse, the same? Could be a connection issue. I see the levels moving on my control panel. Now it muffles. Oh. Well, I pray that on the recording... Here, I'm going to try to plug in my mic again into a different USB port and see if that helps. Okay, how about now? Better, worse, the same? Better? Okay. I apologize for that. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe I have too many things open. Maybe it's a connection issue, even though I have a pretty fast connection like most people have nowadays. I'm going to trudge on through because I cross my fingers, I think the audio when the recording gets processed should be pretty clear. I think it's more just an issue of connection probably, but I don't think it's going to affect my recording. Okay, so hopefully people were able to make most sense out of what I've been saying, even if my voice has been fading in and out. But okay, you're going to go through these evaluation guide questions and literally answer them and literally include them in your presentation. By the way, I was tempted to show an example from past months of what students did, but I'm shying away from that because then people imitate that example rather than, I want you to kind of come up with your own presentation choice, whether you want to use Prezi, whether you want to use a blogging tool, whether you want to use Keynote or PowerPoint. And then you have complete control over how you want to present this information, how you want it to appear on the page, if you want it to interact with images, okay? So, Jason, it's up to you. I'd say if you don't literally put the questions in the presentation, it should be clear enough to a reader that you're, in other words, your answer shouldn't be so standalone that we can't make out, we can't make sense out of like what you're answering, if that makes sense. So here it says, is the article accurate or thorough? If you just put on your presentation, yes, it's thorough, like I won't know what you're talking about. So the answers are fine, but just make sure that it makes sense to a general reader. Actually, I recommend looking through your presentation and pretending that you aren't you. Like pretend you're not in this class, you're not, Jason or Tony or whoever. Just pretend you're a stranger who's wandered in off the street. That stranger should be able to read through your presentation and mostly make sense out of things. Okay? Now, back to part 2. Once you've answered those evaluation guide questions, now you have sort of enough knowledge to give us a summary of what you feel about the article. And so after you've done that, you'll write paragraphs for each of the 2 articles that you found through LexisNexis, where you summarize. You explain whether you found the articles credible or why. So in other words, it's easy for me because I can go through your answers to those questions, but that's a little bit disjointed. But when I get a nice summary paragraph afterwards, that's useful. Okay. You also have to include the permalink or a screenshot of the articles. The simplest way, I just recommend taking a quick screenshot of the article. So while you're on the LexisNexis page for the article, just take a screenshot of it. Okay, that's the easiest thing to do. If you do want to include a permalink, there's a permalink thing up here, create permanent link, that you click on, and it will provide you with the URL. You can do that too. I just think it's visually more interesting when screenshots fill up space, but it's up to you. Okay, so there's part 2, right? We find 2 articles in LexisNexis. Or, if you want, you can also use EBSCOhost, which is a whole series of databases that basically begin up at the top and continue. They have EBSCOhost in parentheses afterward. There's one devoted to business. There's one devoted to communication and mass media. A lot of people use Academic Search Complete. You can use these as well. Sometimes they're not as useful because these tend to come up with results that come from journal articles or academic publications, whereas LexisNexis tends to find things more that were published in newspapers, kind of the stuff that regular people would read. But if you're striking out a LexisNexis, you can also use something like Academic Search Complete. Tony, no, your presentation, it doesn't have to be PowerPoint. I don't know if you joined us late or were away from the computer when I started, but you have a bunch of tools you can use. Right? PowerPoint, Keynote, Prezi, which is an online presentation tool, WordPress, blogging tools like WordPress or Weebly. So it doesn't have to be PowerPoint. Lots of people use PowerPoint just because, I don't know, PowerPoint is so old school that people are familiar with it and comfortable with it. That's fine. I'll show the rubric in just a second. There is no part of the rubric where you get points taken off for choosing one presentation program over another. So use whatever you want to use and what's most appropriate and most comfortable for you. Okay, so part 3 is really easy because you're going to do the exact same thing, except instead of heading to the Full Sail library databases, you're just going to go online, use Google, Yahoo. I don't think anybody uses any search tool anymore except Google, and find 2 articles online. Okay. So I can do that easily just by going into the search bar and typing Naughty Dog. Right, and I'll get some stuff at the beginning that's not very useful, like the company's website. Well, here's something. Naughty Dog turns 30 this month. Announces plan for something or other. A display at the Southern California Art Gallery. Okay, I'll click on that. Maybe it's interesting. This is GameSpot, which is a pretty trusted site, I think. Doesn't mean that's completely free from bias. But again, don't just choose the first thing. And if you already know something that you want to look into that you think is cool, like, I don't know, Uncharted, you can do things like that. It doesn't literally have to be just about the company, but it could be anything Naughty Dog related. So, let's see. Anything that comes up interesting for this? An interview. Interviews typically don't work as well because they're not really articles so much. Uncharted 4 will be a lighthearted romp, right? So don't just pick the first thing that you see. Naughty Dog, bright future on the PS4. Okay, that sounds interesting. Let me take a look at that. Is my voice fading out again, Mangus? Okay, like this article looks pretty interesting. It's long, it's in depth. I would maybe, I haven't read it yet, but maybe I would like this one. It also seems interesting because it's talking about Naughty Dog and the PS4. Okay, I'll try to pick up the speed because we're having some audio issues. But yeah, okay. Part 3, just like Part 2. Except instead of finding 2 articles through the library databases, you're finding 2 online. And you're doing the exact same thing. Okay, so you're gonna answer the evaluation guide questions. You are going to write summary paragraphs for each of those articles that tells me whether you found the article credible or not and why. Okay, so the same thing. And I'm going over this kind of fast, but there are other small details that you should read through. So don't ignore the assignment sheet. So for example, it tells you to bookmark these sites in the DGL list. So don't forget to do that. Okay. Part 4. Like I said, presentations are pretty dull if they don't have visuals. So Part 4 is asking you to go find visual elements through the AP Images collection that you have through the Full Sail Library. So here, AP Images, we click on it. Keep clicking. And we're in. Now we can do all our searches. So like I can go Naughty Dog. Okay, it looks like it's mostly visuals from The Last of Us. Although here's one. It looks like this was taken at the E3 gaming convention, it says. So I like that image. If we click on the image, there are a couple things we need to do. This number up here is super important. You need to copy this this number. I'm going to go ahead and copy it right now. Because this is the AP image number that tells me that you actually found your image through the database. The goal here is not to Google and take images that you're not allowed to use. If you take images through the AP Images database and give credit by listing this number, then you're okay. And that's what you need to do for this assignment. You need to find 4 images through the AP Images database. And if you click on the download button, it will just walk you through the steps. Right? They usually just give you one option, a low-res option, but that's fine. Click download here or here. Download starts automatically. I don't know if you saw it, but it just flew to my downloads folder. There it is. Right? And now I can drag it into my, and by the way, decide on your own where images will help your presentation. There just need to be 4 of them that appear in your presentation. You'll decide where they best fit. Okay, so here's my image. Right? And I can paste in that specific number and drag it. And drag it. There we go. Right? Okay, simple enough, right? I mean, there's our image that we found. There's the number that tells us that it came from the AP Images database, and you just need to find 4 of them. And if you're striking out a little bit, you could play around. Like, let's say I don't want all these images from The Last of Us. I could do things like Uncharted. Oh, no images available. Okay. How about Uncharted video game? Let's see if that comes up. Okay, so we got some more screenshots, right? So I could choose this one. Same thing, I'm not going to go and copy this and download it because you get the gist, but you just need to find 4 images to include in your presentation. Does that make sense? Does everybody feel comfortable with what they need to do for that part? Yes? No? I also want to hear people respond because I hope that my voice is kind of coming through still. For people who want to try out something different, blogging tools actually work well for this assignment. I don't have an example to give, but like, okay, here's my online teaching portfolio. This is basically, nobody carries around paper resumes anymore. In the old days, you would have like a binder that included all your materials, like your resume, your teaching philosophy, courses that you've taught, sample materials. Now we just do all that stuff online. So if you click through my online teaching portfolio, you can see these different elements. But here's the point I want to make. Blogging tools actually work pretty well for this assignment because instead of creating sections called CV, which is just a fancy word for resume, and on, courses taught, etc., you can just create your own sections that are called like, company overview, or LexisNexis article number 1, LexisNexis article number 2, search engine article number 1, search engine article number 2. So if you like blogging tools or you're comfortable with them, you can go ahead and use that. It kind of almost sets up things for you. It's usually just as easy to bring in images, to put in text, so that's a nice option. People don't do it very much, but I encourage you to try if you want to. If you're tired of just presentation software, that's a cool thing to use. Let's see, other things I've missed. Just the typical stuff that you already know, right? Make sure you follow these steps at the end in terms of labeling your file correctly, making sure that you've included everything, etc. Okay, and please do read through the assignment sheet because I've skipped some smaller details, so you don't want to miss anything. Like making sure that you have a DGO list and that things are added to that list, making sure that your DGO URL to that list appears somewhere in the presentation. Okay. But actually, I don't think it's that terribly difficult of an assignment. It's just that, yeah, there are lots of things to keep in mind, lots of things to juggle. And here's a checklist of things to make sure. So you can either watch this later if you need to remind yourself, or you can take a screenshot now and try it out. But like, here's the basics of what you need to remember to do. Okay, you need to make sure your presentation contains the following items: a screenshot of your chosen company's LexisNexis profile, a DGO entry for this profile, and a paragraph about why you admire the company and chose it. Okay? Then 2 articles that you found about the company through LexisNexis. You need to list your answers to those evaluation guide questions. And you need to have an overview for each article. Okay, so a paragraph about whether the article is credible or not. Again, a screenshot or a permalink must be included. Next, 2 articles about the company that you found through search engines. Again, include your list, your answers to the evaluation guide questions. And again, that sort of summary paragraph afterwards. DGO links need to be created for each article. So this is where the juggling comes into play, right? So the 2 articles through LexisNexis, you can take a screenshot. The 2 articles you find online, just create DGO links within your DGO list that you've created specifically for this assignment. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And finally, that you have to go find 4 images through the AP Images database and include those images somewhere in the presentation, and to include that AP reference number, because I want to make sure that you're truly getting it from the AP Images database and not just online. Later in week 4, we're going to talk about these issues when we get into copyright, about why it's important to take images that are allowable. I know that we live in a world of Facebook and ultimate sharing, where lots of things get shared and lots of things get spread around. Lots of cat pictures with funny captions under them. And that's, I guess, mostly okay. But when we're talking about professional things, things you hand in for school, things that you create as an employee for your job, those things you're not supposed to be just heading out onto the internet and just grabbing whatever you want. Okay, you should be taking it from allowable sources that you can actually cite. And the AP Images database allows you to do that. There's no fear as long as you include that specific AP reference number. There's no fear that you're sort of plagiarizing or taking things that don't belong to you. So that's why we insist on that. I think that covers the major stuff. So at this point, do we have questions? I actually sped things up. I wanted to slow down even more during certain steps, but I'm worried about my voice and how it's coming through. Oh, I didn't notice somebody has a hand up. Mangus, is that an accident again, or do you have a question you'd like to ask out loud? Okay, cool. See, Mangus is brave. Now I just have to remember how to unmute him. There we go. Okay, Mangus, you should be good. Go ahead. I'm not hearing anything. I don't know what kind of computer you're using. My Mac has an internal mic, so you just speak out loud. You might need to make sure that your volume is up, maybe. You're using an external. Okay, well, I got so excited. I thought we were going to hear... Oh, you guys hear him? I'm the only one who doesn't? Wow, this is severely messed up today, go-to training. People can't hear me, but the members can hear each other. That is so strange. And on my controls, I can see Mangus is unmuted. Here, I'm going to go unmute everybody. Oops, I just muted everybody. Okay. Start talking, people. Just start to say hello, or it's sunny outside. Are you guys talking? By the way, this is going to be the worst recording for people who watch us after the fact. Oh, I feel so bad for these people. They're going to wonder what's going on. So you guys can hear each other right now? Okay, I'm going to mute everybody because it sounds like you guys are... Your ears are going to explode by all the people speaking and the feedback that's being generated. So I've muted everybody. I apologize. I honestly don't know what's going on. I'll just need to remember next time to make sure, I don't know, reboot my computer before we start. Because I can't hear Mangus. I can't hear any of you. I had you guys unmuted. So, Mangus, I'm sorry, I'm going to put your hand down. But if you or anybody else has a question, go ahead and type it into the chat box and I'll answer it. Questions about this assignment, questions about anything about the course or what we've done last week, or about the team debates that are still ongoing. Mangus asked, my question was, what do you recommend for blogging tools? And is this presentation up for download? I'm not sure what you mean for up for download. You mean the presentation I'm giving right now? Yeah, it's being recorded. So right after this session is over, it's going to take me a little bit more time tonight because as soon as I'm done with you guys, I got to hop in the car and drive to campus and teach a class on campus. So it might, and then actually things are going to get crazy. Then I go to an outdoor screening of Napoleon Dynamite that's going on in Orlando. So I do apologize, but tonight's recording will probably, I don't know, I'll try to make it happen. I'll see if maybe I can get it uploaded while I'm teaching class. If not, it might not appear until late tonight, because this is a rare day where hermits like me, who usually has nothing better to do except sit around, is actually going out to do things tonight. But yeah, there's a recording, so you can watch it at your own speed, your own time. And, today's Thursday, so this is due on Sunday. So even if I get it up late tonight, that should still give you Friday, Saturday, all day Sunday. I mean, I think the gist of what you need to do is pretty clear from this session. But if you need to go back and watch specific parts, yeah, it will be recorded. Absolutely. Any other questions? Oh, Mangus all said blogging tools. Yeah, WordPress is a good one. Do I still have it up? No, I don't. WordPress is a good one. Weebly is another. Right, it's actually a free blog, free website creation tool. So you just sign up, and let me see if I can bring up my thing again. Yeah, there it is. It's remembered in the browser. Okay, so like if I go into my, now things aren't appearing. Oh, there it is. Like if I go into my dashboard, you get a whole bunch of tools where you can control your pages and what's on them. You can create new pages. Like here are all my individual pages, right? So if I wanted to, I could edit this, change this to, I don't know, naughty. I hate it with pull down menus. Block, naughty dog, overview. Just replace all this with maybe my paragraph about why I chose this company and admire it. I forget which tool it is here. Insert edit link. Maybe that's the one. But add media. Like you can add in images. So if you took your screenshot and you want your screenshot to appear, you can do that. Where do you see what makes a great progressive rock album, Angus? The reason I ask is I teach a separate version of this course where students actually create blogs, and they have to choose topics like, what makes a great open world RPG, or what makes a great progressive rock album. So I don't know where you got that from. I don't know if I have something up here that just. Oh, okay. Yeah, that might be a leftover thing from a previous course, probably. Just don't get confused. We're not dealing with anything with progressive rock albums for this class. That's probably from an English class that I teach, where, yeah, students create a blog and dedicate the blog to a specific topic. But my point is here, if you do use a blogging tool, you can easily just adapt it, create individual pages, and I'm not going to save this at all. So I'm going to leave this page because I don't want to ruin anything. And then when you set things up, like I said, instead of having this stuff up here, you'll have your own specific sections for this assignment. So yeah, you can use PowerPoint, you can use Keynote, you can use a blogging tool, you can use whatever. Just choose something you're comfortable with. Most important, though, is that you're including all the stuff that I just covered in terms of information. Because it doesn't matter which presentation tool you choose. If you're not including the elements that are required from the assignment, then no presentation tool can make up for that. Okay, any other questions? Are people feeling pretty good in terms of what the assignment is asking them to do and what you need to do? Again, it's pretty basic in some ways. It's just that there are so many steps you need to follow, so many things you need to include. Tony, you can't screenshot. Are you on PC? Okay, did you try just pressing the print screen button? Because I think that works for most people. How to take a shot on PC. With Windows XP, you can take a screenshot, blah, blah, blah. How to take a screenshot. No, that's for... You might have to do some research. Maybe other people can help out. Well, this said it covered Windows, and I don't see it. Oh, Windows. Right, here it's just saying press print screen. So, I'm not sure what your problem is, Tony. Is this an older computer? Is it using an older operating system or something like that? Yeah, I said that earlier, Mangus, that sometimes there's a Windows key. It looks, it's the key that has that little Windows icon. It looks like a window. Sometimes you have to press Window plus print screen. That's actually what I have on my PowerPoint presentation, but I've been told so many times by current students that all they need to do is press print screen and it works. Yeah, if you have trouble, just send me a message and we'll figure it out together. But maybe you'll need to, who knows. My solution to everything, by the way, is reboot the machine. That's like my universal thing when things don't work. Like I'm sure if I rebooted my Mac now, we would all hear each other just fine. Um, so yeah, you'll figure it out. Other questions before we let you guys go? Are we all good? Yes. Yes. Okay, it sounds like everybody's doing good. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. And if you feel comfortable with what you